The first day we have seen mostly some basic orientation, and today you have been shown a kind of demonstration into the actual operation. The objective of this session is, I really want you to be little attentive to this session, because what I am going to do is that I am presenting before you the framework of empirical legal research. Now, entire thing has to be subsumed in that framework. So, in terms of understanding that framework, you need to look at all the steps of empirical legal research, and I'll discuss all those steps in actual operation, means how to do. Now we are at this stage when we have to actually deal with how of the research, but that is very important. Like for instance, if I say, I would like you to be very quick in terms of responding me and doing a small exercise. Yes, for instance, I said you will confront a couple of challenges in developing your scheme of empirical legal research. But you need to understand that what role are you having for yourself in this workshop. As I said, there could be two very important roles, three roles. Either you are a user of empirical legal research, or you are a doer of empirical research, or you are a critic of the research. So mostly we have been the user, because we are not doing, we are user of research, so we read it and we teach the student to the class. Now in this session, I want you to be the doer of the research. And I have some very strong assumptions about the empirical legal research. I may be incorrect, but to be able to come to my wavelength, you need to very precise, because there are some very fine and micro aspects in it. Because I always say that the best way to learn empirical legal research is to do the research. You know, there cannot be any other way to learn research. Doing is very important. So I will present mostly the things in a doable manner. And I will take you to that doability of the research, so that you can, like for instance, if I say research problem. Now research problem, how to draft the research problem. How of the research. Objective, how to draft the objective. Sample, how to derive the sample. How to analyze the data, and kind of thing. So unless you are comfortable with this how of the ELR, then it won't be possible for you. So therefore, my first assumption is you need to think in micro terms. That is not happening. That is why, again, I said I have some strong assumption. We, by our orientation and training in law, we tend to think in a very larger canvas. Like you can think of corruption, globalization, justice, delay, and all. So I'll ask you invariably, like for instance, if I say, in the morning I was sitting, so he was dealing with the delay. Delay looks very micro, but I said it is still macro. Can you tell me what can be the micro equivalent of delay? What, suppose somebody is to make a study on some aspect of delay, suppose some student comes to you and he or she asks you to do some exercise or some research, empirical research in the delay aspect of research. So delay cannot be studied unless you are able to perceive it. You know, somebody said, yesterday I said, if a thing which cannot be measured, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. If you say there is something called globalization, but I can't tell you how to measure it. Justice, you can't measure it, so it doesn't exist. So measurability is very important aspect of. Two aspects are very important in empirical research. Observation. First is observation. If you are unable to make observation, then you can't do empirical research. And observations cannot be made unless you are able to visualize your stakeholders, your components, your elements in research. So how to visualize? What are the things that can be visualized? Which are physical. Which are abstract, you cannot visualize. Suppose I say, as I say, the first assumption of empirical legal research is observation. How to make observation? Now again I am going by an assumption. I think I have said it yesterday also. I am taking you in a very clear terrain. Actually there is no confusion. Empirical research means ability to make observation. Now what are the challenges in the field of law to make observation? Now for a minute, you think of your subjects that you teach. You may be teaching contract, tort, environmental law, criminal law, IPR, constitutional law. These are the subjects that we teach. Now, can we make some observations? Observation means you should be able to see those things in action. Because what is the purpose of making observation? Because if you are able to make observation, it means you are able to collect the data also. Like suppose I have some laborers working on a construction site and I want to understand whether the laborers are getting their health entitlements as per the labor law. Now this is possible because there is a site where laborers are working. I can talk to the laborer, I can talk to the contractor, I can talk to the person who have employed them. So it means if I am able to connect with my respondents, I can make observation, I can collect the data. Are you able to understand what I am trying to take you to? I am trying to take you to the site of observation. So your ability to identify the site of observation with respect to your subject is something which is extremely important. Now, this is the challenge before you. Whether can you go to the site of observation in case of subject that you teach? You can ask tort, you can ask contract, you can ask criminal law. Like, this is how I always quote this example. This is how I got that while I was teaching CRPC and I was teaching arrest in a class, so the student asked me, he said, how the empirical research in this aspect of criminal law is possible? I said, can I make some observation if I am teaching the law of arrest? Because law of arrest is written in a normative fashion in the book of CRPC. So suppose I was teaching yesterday, I made you an example, that if I was teaching whether the compliance of notice is being done by the police or not. So I can say that if 100 arrests are made by a police station in a month, in how many cases the requirement of notice is followed by the police. I have been able to make some observation because I have counted out of 100 how many times. So this is the extent of compliance. This is the extent to which the police is complying with the law. Now, this kind of compliance of law can be studied in any subject. A very nice report has been done by Vidhi Center for Policy, Law in Numbers. I don't know how many of you have seen that. Law in Numbers. They are exactly trying to tell that what kind of laws are implemented and in how many cases the observations are possible. So I would say, can you tell me from your experience, what is the status or what is the scope of making observation with regard to the subject that you teach? Because I said yesterday that empirical legal research is possible in all branches of law. I go by this. Now, you have to struggle a lot, I know, because you are conditioned to think in very abstract and vague manner. Because I always say vagueness is enjoyed, because it is mutually helpful. Either you understand or I understand. It is convenient. If you talk vague, it is mutually convenient to the teacher and the student. Both are making comfortable to each other. So, but the moment you ask precise question, if you go down to the measurability of the issue or the concept that you are discussing, you are making others uncomfortable. Because then you have to talk in a very guarded manner. Say, for instance, say justice. What is justice? Now, justice, you can write a book, but still you won't be able to tell me what is justice. Difficult. Rule of law. Rule of law, you can speak half an hour, everybody can speak. I know you are a teacher. You have an inkling to speak, But then you won't be able to tell me that what are the precise indicators of rule of law and how the rule of law status is better in X state as compared to Y state. What does it mean? It means that you have never ever thought of rule of law or for that matter any such concept in terms of its measurability. Because you need not to measure it. You need not to also, so you don't make observations. So we are by default prohibited to make observation. It is the death of scientificity. Here the scientific method is killed. Because if you are not able to make observation, means you cannot go to that level of objectivity which is necessary. So now I want to ask you this first question, that can you think of, and another thing before I ask this question, can you think of the micro aspect of it? Because I am taking you from macro to micro. When I say delay in the morning, I said, did I spell writing pen? You should bring it. I need it. So I want to understand that what can be the micro aspect of a daily research which can become measurable. Can anybody tell me? Suppose somebody comes to you, a student who wants to do a research on the delay aspect of cases. So now delay is definitely measurable, but what is, this is macro. It is still macro. What is the micro that you would suggest?
It can be to some specific offense and some specific place.
मुझे तो title बताओ आप.
Sir,
it
can be economic delay, it can be other factors also.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying somebody is interested to understand some aspect of delay related research, delay
adjournment,
and you need to suggest. You first understand what you have to suggest. You have to suggest to your student a topic which he can directly go and start working. That should be as precise.
Sir, causes of delay in criminal justice system.
Causes.
Criminal justice
वो तो
system.
फिर वही आ गए ना. Causes तो 1000 हो गए.
Litigants, sir. Litigants.
Investigation.
Litigants कोई तो question करेंगे sir. The
Litigant.
subject.
Sir, can it be cost of filing? Sir,
Investigation.
You tell me the topic.
cost of filing.
Yes, can anybody? This process is called crystallization.
non-appearance.
Cost of filing.
Time it takes
So
for
how
the
many
respondent to be filed.
Huh?
So judicial
Time it
vacancies.
takes for the respondent to file its statement, the written statement,
Time taken
for written statement to be filed.
written statement to be filed. इससे क्या पता चल रहा? What does we get?
So when the petition, written statement stands for any kind of written submission by the opposite party. So the date starts, the life cycle of a case
So you are
starts.
explaining the date. I am asking a research problem. Can you create a research topic out of this issue? Because we know always macro. We try to come down to micro. That is the process. You struggle always. Suppose I want to do something on social justice. Now, social justice has to be taken to a level where it becomes precise, manageable, measurable, observable.
So judicial vacancies of cases in injustice to society.
So number of
Sir, judicial vacancies.
Sir, cost of filing the suit.
Cost of filing of suit. अभी भी ये थोड़ा वे
So how many adjournments
Sir,
are
number of
granted due to
adjournments.
personal reasons?
In a particular
In 100 cases, how many times an advocate is granted in adjournment?
number of
owing to
times
in a particular time.
number of times
an advocate is granted
number
an
of
adjournment?
times
अर्जुन में 3 टाइम से अटेंड कर सकते हैं ना, उसके आगे कहाँ अटेंड करते हैं?
advocate
और there is
was granted
But that can be one of the reasons.
granted
An adjournment
adjournment
owing to
That is prescribed.
personal reasons.
It's not followed.
so it's
that is
personal
usually not
reasons
implemented.
in adjournment
Not implemented.
Non-appearance of the parties,
non-appearance of
parties, either this.
But sir, these all will come within the causes of delay.
No. We are not studying causes of delay. That's why that is the thing I want to guard against. You never send any researcher into this dark alley. You always send a researcher with a clarity. There could be 100 reasons. I only want personal reason also to be defined. But there can be 100 personal reasons. Suppose I want how many times the medical reasons have been cited. Study of medical reason being cited in seeking the adjournment. Now this is a very precise. No? Cost of filing of suit in what kind of cases? ये भी तो बताना पड़ेगा.
Whether parties are poor or
No, what type of civil suit? No, even within civil, there is hundreds of thousands of civil, say rent related. So cost of filing of suit in rent related cases during which period? 2010
10 to 15.
to 15. Where?
And it could be an unknown group of respondents.
Where?
In Delhi.
Location
In
particular.
Delhi. In Delhi, which court? You have to define these things.
Yes, universal.
Because you cannot send, अब आप मेरा Delhi, तो वो तो पूछेगा where in Delhi? I am asking this kind of micro level position. So now the cost of filing of suit in case of rent agreement during this period during the Patiala household. This is the first requirement of empirical evidence. So your journey from this macro to micro is the first condition. So whenever you have a research problem in your mind, it may be a broad domain in your mind. Your ability to crystallize this research problem up to this level is the first requirement. And no book will tell you. There is nothing written in any research methodology book as to how to do this. This is your trust with the problem. Because again, our condition, your conditioning will come. You will presume that you have made it clear. So now, can you suggest me some research problem now? Yes. चलो थोड़ा इधर हेल्प करो, ये बोर्ड पे आप ये इंटर्न है, इसकी मदद ली है. क्या नाम है? राघव. Yes. So can anybody suggest me a research problem now? पहले domain suggest करो. What domain? Domain first.
Women
Broad.
accessibility of patented medicine.
So it is accessibility of
Patented medicine.
patented medicine. Now you write accessibility. You इसको remove करो. Accessibility of patented medicine. उसको सारा साफ करो. Left writing करना भी एक आर्ट होता है. देखो ये ऐसा लग रहा पेपर पे लिख रहे हैं. थोड़ा बड़ा लिखो. ऐसा नहीं लिखो. हाँ, accessibility of patent. So what does it convey? Does it convey any research problem? Accessibility of patented medicine से क्या होगा? लिखो आपने उसमें पहले accessibility of patented medicine. थोड़ा पेन पेपर निकाल लो इसमें. बातचीत में काफी मनोरंजन हो गया आपसे, एक दिन हो गया आपसे काम शुरू किया. So accessibility of patented medicine. So where is the research? What is the research problem?
Sir, if
So
you make
can you make it a research problem? Again, following the same principle. What is the crystallization?
accessible, like these are like expenditure friendly or not, or whether these are out of pocket expenditure. Whether patients are able to buy the medicines.
Affordability of patented medicine on the part of which patient? What is the type of medicine you are talking? Medicine कैसा होती है? Cancer related medicine.
Related to public health and
Something
Make it more. अब क्या हो गया आपका topic?
affordability of life-saving drugs.
Affordable, अभी life saving भी बहुत होती है. Life saving भी आपको, you have to define. I am trying to hammer the point. There is a thing called operational definition. Every time, whatever term you use in your research, it has to be defined for the purpose of your research. So life saving in your case, what is life saving? You have to write it. Affordability of medicine for cancer patient. Now, still, what is the research aspect in this? Whether the patients are able to afford the medicine, again, in which city, which year, any particular situation that you want to understand, because you have to actually take care of all the relevant factors. Yes. Can anybody contribute to this problem?
I don't think this carries any legal aspect into the affordability is
after
legality.
after
Now,
GST has been passed,
what is the legality? What is the legal research? What is the? ये तो बड़ी जनरल सी बात हुई.
after GST has been passed,
हाँ.
the legislation after GST they may not be affordable.
Let us stop. देखिए हम लोग बड़ी बड़ी बातें न करें GST और
Medicines are life-saving. Patent process, patent is allowed and product patent is also allowed. But to some extent, they don't make it so patentable that it is inaccessible to the patient.
मुझे नहीं मालूम, मुझे तो ये टाइटल बताओ. Actually, I'll drag you again and again to
Sir,
this.
effectiveness of compulsory licensing in India.
Yes.
नहीं, but उससे पूछो whether the her research problem that she has in
Because
mind remains
affordability-
same, or whatever you are saying, it seems something different.
Life saving
So
drugs.
affordability can be related to, I mean, the solution to affordability is
Do you have some
compulsory
objections?
Yes,
You
sir.
raise objection and say this is not what I wanted to see.
Compulsory license can be an option.
It's a solution to affordability. So that's how I'm relating it. If you want to make it more specific or at a micro
Compulsory
level,
There
license.
can be impact of patents on access to drugs.
So we can add genetic words.
You're talking about
No,
affordability.
actually you cannot change the topic. The topic you have to talk within that topic. Otherwise, ये तो फिर then I can suggest something else.
Sir, you kindly take some area with generally.
I'm saying the impact of patents was a fact.
Access to
Impact of
justice.
patents on access.
Now, how many of you are interested in access to justice?
Yeah. Everyone.
मतलब हाथ उठाने में सब कोई डाउट कर रहा Now, here the problem is not an issue. Again, I am saying we are content driven. Here we are talking about method only. Problem is why the way. We are trying to look how a research problem is extracted from a domain. That is the whole issue. That is the whole, from macro to micro. So macro disciplines are in any case available with us, like access to justice, like domestic violence, like RTI, like environmental justice, and all those kinds of things. But challenge remains how to derive a research problem out of it. Now suppose access to justice. Can anybody tell me the precise research problem which can be derived from this broader discipline of access to justice?
Availability of free legal aid in session trial cases.
before availability of
सेशन ट्रायल केसेस को प्रीडिफाइन और छोटा करना पड़ेगा.
आपने दिया है नहीं, but this is okay. Availability of free legal aid. So it means we are treating free legal aid as one of the indicators of existence. No? Let us see. Actually, we cannot study everything. See, you have to guard and resist your temptation to include everything in the fold of your. This is the major problem with us. A thing which you do not study is not your liability. You can always defend your research. If there can be hundreds of aspects of a particular, you are responsible for the aspects which you have studied. I'm talking very precise actually, because otherwise access to justice is a huge domain, everything comes. Now, availability of free legal aid in session trial. Now question is, in session trials also, there are many offences. So is there any specific offence related? So let us say for instance murder. So we will bracket कर दो वहाँ पे, हम murder कर दो. Murder. Now, where in a state or in a district, in one district of a state, so देखो inspected in one district of Delhi, East Delhi, in East Delhi, East Delhi murder cases, availability of free legal aid.
Time period.
Now availability is still, so what are you researching in availability? Now problem of accessing the free legal aid, the problems in accessing or problem in availing the, so you can discuss the problem which are faced by the litigants or the complainant or the accused in these cases. So you have to again very clearly, bring it down to that level, that in whose cases you are discussing. So this is little possible, and during the period also. Period you can say in 2015 to 2016. Now you are at a comfortable level. Now it means observations are possible. These things are observable or not? Is there anything which is not observable? Now you have access to justice is not observable, but legal aid is possible to count. The number of occasions a person, because we can say that how much time it took him or her to access the legal aid. Even the frequency of contacting the lawyer, the quality of lawyering, and all those kinds of the cost and all those things, and whether was it hassle-free or kind of thing. What I am saying is, always, or कोई research problem?
Sir, can I make an appeal?
Yes, why not?
Accessibility of reading material for the students of visual disability in legal studies after Meritocracy 2013.
Fine. So now that this training you need to, actually I have no other way to tell you, but telling this, that this should become the part of your process. Like suppose you have a student who comes to you and he or she wants to discuss, because they come generally with a very broader area. They said, so we want to do something on RTI. Now RTI, so you'll say you go to which part of RTI you know. You immediately ask, what is the one dimension that you want to study? All dimensions cannot be studied. So your ability all the time to come to that micro level is the success. If you are able to negotiate with this, then you have cleared the first level of hurdle. Generally people are, now the point is research remains a process. So if you are not clear here, your vagueness would continue till the end. I am telling you, I have seen number of good research topics not being brought to this level and hence they remained unclear to the researcher. And sometimes the entire PhD is over and researcher is quite tentative about the subject. And whenever it comes to difficult times, then he or she has to face issue. Because you have never tried to formulate your research problem in this fashion. That is the first thing you have to do. Now, I'll again, yes, I'll come with a framework to you, and within that framework, I'll try to, discuss the things with you. Like for instance, what are the important aspects or steps through which we can see the model of empirical legal research. So if you are doing empirical legal research, so it means you are doing one of the two things. One is either you are making a proposal to do a research, you know what is the proposal to do a research, or you are reporting a research. Are you getting my point? So suppose you are filing a research proposal to some agency. It means your research proposal would be a kind of futuristic statement that you would be interested to do. How that would be done? Or if you have already conducted a research, so you are reporting your research. So let us look at a couple of those things, and within that model I'll try to say something. But this remains the major thing that you have to keep in mind, which is called the major components of empirical legal research. The idea is whether these components are, first is scientific method. Empirical research means following of the scientific method. Scientific method starts from the very beginning of the identification of the research problems. Now, generally the literature on empirical legal research doesn't specify as to how to identify the research problem. But as I said, a crystallization by creating, suppose I want to do a research on domestic violence. This is the domain. What you need to do is a kind of flow chart you have to create, a flow diagram you have to create. There can be several aspects. So suppose I just want to study the impact on family relationship, or impact on children. Right? Now you have to create this kind of diagram before you embark on a particular research. So if you have not done this homework properly, this homework actually, we never do this. What you will do, you will try to go to the Google. No, Google will never give you this clarity. Google can provide you the material. And in fact, having the material is a problem. Have you ever thought of? Having the material is a problem. Because that material will, somehow, case you into a particular kind of thinking, and you would be slave to that type of priority of thinking. It will never allow you to think originally, think out of box. This is enabling the thinking process. This is a very important line I have used, enabling the thinking process. If sometimes research happens, thinking doesn't take place. What else can be more thoughtful than the research? If thinking is not happening in the research, then research is not happening. तो कुछ और ही होगा. So what I'm saying, please allow these tools to be there, which could help facilitate your thinking and formulate your subject. Now, I can formulate it at several levels. This is the level 1. This is the level 2. What is the level 3 thinking? Level 3 thinking take me to the much more finer levels. Like I can classify children into age group, I can classify children male, female, I can classify children due on the economic categories, social categories, their schooling level. I can also classify this impact according to the family's structure, families, the parents of a particular age group, particular income categories. So many things I can controlling variable. What are the controlling variables? You know, I am using these words, please use controlling variables. So a lot of factors you can control in formulating your research. I'm sorry I do not have any book to suggest you for all these things. But please avoid books for a while. Because research is a very, very, a logical process. Allow your logic to be there because you have read enough. So, post-graduation, doctorate, no longer you need to read. You need to justify your education. Sorry. So controlling variable means you can control several. Now, what is the criteria of controlling the factors? Criteria of controlling the factor is what is the mandate of your research. Suppose some agency has given you or asked you to do a particular research. So you would try to understand from that agency that what are your priorities. Do you want a particular category of children to be studied? Do you want some specific areas to be focused? Do you want some specific categories of parents to be there in that particular research field? Having received all this information, you can shape your research proposal. So while you shape your research proposal, you must be knowing that what are your priorities. So what I am saying is application of scientific method and objectivity. Now why we look at the objectivity? Because the entire effort of the research methodology is to achieve and to maximize the objectivity quotient of your research. Objectivity quotient of your research means a research which is objective, that becomes the scientific research. And therefore, the scientific method is a guarantee or a kind of assurance of objectivity. And you bring all your concepts that you use in your research at a level where some measurement becomes possible. Measurement is very important. Empirical research is all about measuring the things. Your ability to measure things, like for instance, if I say you have to understand, suppose, the intensity of domestic violence. How do you measure the intensity?
Number of cases,
Number of cases would tell you the extent of domestic violence.
Surgery was required, whether a shoulder was
Injury. So again, you have to draw the operational definition of intensity. Means number of days a person was hospitalized on account of injury. That would be a degree of, So many variables. But you need to make them in a fashion or in a manner so that they become directly countable. A thing which you cannot count doesn't exist again. So you need to bring the entire content of your research at a level where it becomes measurable. I hope, are you able to understand me? I'm just speaking in a very general, simple language. And then generalization. Generalization means every research has to generalize its finding. Now, whether generalization will happen from a research or not, it depends on various factors. What kind of sampling you have taken, whether your method is reliable. Now, here you will realize the difference between the qualitative research, which takes 1 or 2 cases, or the survey research, which takes thousands of cases. the potential of generalization in case of a survey research which involves longer sample is much more higher than a qualitative research which takes limited sample. So generalization becomes very important. Predictability and verifiability means whether these things can be predicted. Because suppose your research has authentically reached to a conclusion that this is the combination of making a juvenile into offending. Suppose you have identified 4 factors in your research and a particular combination in 80% cases is the fatal combination for juvenile offending. So then you can, your research can then become predictive that this combination is most likely to result into the juvenile offending in city of such and such in such and such place. Because research has to be predictive. Yes.
So you said that a survey research is far more capable of doing generalization. The possibility of generalization there is much more than the qualitative research. So I believe that predictability and verifiability also follows from generalization. So that very moment the idea of a qualitative research falls down, then the idea of survey research.
No. When I say the generalization, I mean every research is true to its context. True to its context means suppose you have taken like you must have seen these exit poll. Now exit poll are, you have seen this sample survey, national sample survey. They take huge sample. So their generalization is possible in all those regions where from the sample was taken. You know? Because your research is generalizable only in those areas from where the sample has been, or similar sample. Population characteristics should be the same. Then the generalization is possible. In qualitative research, since we have the empirical research follow the deductive logic. You know what is the deductive logic? Deductive logic is from general to particular. So you have done a large sample survey. So from this general population survey, you have concluded a specific observation, which is called the inference. Now your inference is deductive in nature because it has been drawn from a deductive methodology. On the contrary, in qualitative research, the logic is other way around. It is inductive. Inductive means you have seen couple of cases, 1 or 2 cases, and you are extrapolating your finding, trying to generalize on a larger population. Now, comparative value of generalization is far lesser as far as inductive logic is concerned. Obviously, because this logic is emerging from one case. So 1 versus many. That is the. But I am not discounting the quality. In some places, the case study is very important. Because case study also gives you insight. Like here also a research we have guided on surrogacy. Now in surrogacy, the cases may not be many, but you can do a couple of study on surrogates, mothers. Now issues which we have collected from surrogate mothers are quite capable of generalization to some level. But it's not like 1,000, it's only 5-10 cases. So this difference you must understand. That what are the limitations of, and similarly, the survey research have its own deficiency. They are not very intensive researches. Survey research is not possible in cases where you want to understand a very intense issue. Like suppose I want to understand the inner conflict of a juvenile who has left, who is kind of vagrant. No, survey is not possible. Here I have to do a case study. Because inner conflict is a very intimate variable. So first you have to, identify the engagement that you have on account of a particular topic. It is the topic which decides the choice of your research method. Nothing else. You are nobody to say that I will do that method or I will not do that method. You have to read the demand of research methodology in your topic. Your topic would inform you the kind of method is needed to be followed. Is it clear to you?
Yes.
You need to read it. You need to talk. You need to understand. Because the questions that you pose in your research, they need to be answered by a method. Because ultimately, research methodology tries to do two things. I always say, the simplest definition of research is a journey from question to answer. There cannot be anything more simpler than this. So always there is a question in the form of a research question or in the form of a curiosity that needs to be answered by you, and therefore you want to do a research. Interestingly enough, there can be certain answers already in your mind. Then you can ask why there is a need to do research. I know it. Can you tell me why then there is a need to do a research? Because it is your impression. Impression is not generalization. It is your impression. Your impression may turn out to be true in the end, but still you have to process this impression through the scientific method. And the entire objective of this kind of workshop is taking you to the methodology of scientific method. Scientific method is a very sacrosanct thing, because ultimately you have to answer this question and you have to inform the method that you have applied for your research. So therefore it becomes very important. Now let us see some other aspect in this process. Like for instance, in empirical research, I am not going to critical aspect, I just want you to there are certain assumptions in empirical research which we try to understand. So suppose you have decided to do the study of impact of domestic violence on children. Because you have an assumption in your mind that, yesterday also I said, cause and effect relationship between the factors, that everything that you want to study follow the logic of cause and effect. It is there. Nothing is isolated in the universe. Whatever you see in the universe, it follows certain sequences. Are you getting? This is the assumption. What is the larger assumption? Larger assumption, Freud, Sigmund Freud. Freud said nothing is uncaused. Very beautiful, right? Nothing is uncaused. Means there is a sequence in the nature. And searching the sequence in the nature is all about knowing those processes through research. So nature is orderly distributed. Nature is orderly distributed. So you are trying to understand the sequence in the events. All of the domestic violence as event, corruption as event. All these things are events. They follow a sequence. That sequence is hidden. That sequence is not visible, but sequence is there. So first assumption, there is a sequence. So there is a cause and effect. Now, existence of sequence or law in social legal activity, in social legal research especially. Like I said delay, I said adjournment, I said pendency, I said corruption. All those things have a perfect order. Possibility of a study is possible in that case. And ideal type. Ideal type is a kind of phrase which is used, means you can choose a sample. Ideal types means your sample. And possibility of a representative sample. So far you need to ask anything?
Sir,
Yes.
if we come back to that, making the research problem at micro level,
Hmm.
if we do that, will the title of our research not broaden to the extent that it will not look very good?
The title you can improve. I don't get your point actually. Why title should look good? You can do the title. What if you need to make your title very clear? I never appreciate the title like corruption in India.
No, not that small also, but
That is not small. That is very big. See, we should not feel shy of writing what we are studying. Sometimes we always, let's add this much, let's add this much. What you are tempted to include so many. On the contrary, if you see the title of, please look at a Journal of Empirical Legal Studies, JELS. That is the only journal in the world published from Cornell Law School. ये आपकी जिंदगियां बदल देगा अगर आप पढ़ेंगे, इसलिए इसको पढ़े मत. It is a life change, I am telling you. If you read it, either you have to. It's a challenging proposition to look at this journal. Library में आप जाके देखिए. So, few months you will not be able to understand whether it is a law journal. Because they have taken the issues to a very different level. They are actually studying those things in action. It's a very, very good journal. I think that is the best journal in the world on empirical legal. You can ask your institution to subscribe. The first thing that you can do. It's very intimidating to see that journal. Challenging, intimidating. It's threatening. Because it would shake your conventional ideas. It will render all your learning into symbols. I'm telling you. This is what happened to me when I see it 5-6 years ago. Though I was doing these studies, quantitative study, I've been doing more than 2 decades now. But it is still very, very challenging for the law. People will not accept it. The point here in law schools, nobody will try to appreciate empirical legal research because of vested interest. Because suppose if I don't know how to do empirical research, I'll never allow it to come to my campus. No? I'm telling you, I'm sorry. That is, we are doing an internal discussion. The point is, we don't want to be challenged. We want to be comfortable. हमें तो वो आदमी चाहिए जो कहे अगर आप महान हैं, बिना वजह के महान हैं. You know? So let us be little, as I said, critical to ourselves. It's very important to be critical to ourselves. And let us be ready to be challenged by this new system of thinking. Read something which has a potential to change your style of thinking. You know, so I'm telling you, I think many years ago, or it was in Bhopal when MLM was started in 2007, and I was given the charge of teaching this. So the group of students said, "Sir, why should we study this legal research?" I said, "It's a very good question." I said, "I'll reply you." Because generally I guard my sentences very well. I generally never speak which doesn't make any impact. So I took my time. Then I really got into this entire thinking, and I concluded that the research methodology is one paper which has a potential to change your style of functioning altogether with respect to even other subjects. If you become the expert in research methodology, it would reflect in the performance in other papers also. Because then you will state your things in a very clear manner. You would be more and more argumentative. You would be more and more authoritative in your expression. you would be more objective, and you would remove the scope of vagueness in your expression. In the morning, Harish was saying that the law people write, their style of writing. Actually, your writing has become problematic. You are the prisoners of your own writing. We write in a manner, first of all, you will try to befool you. It doesn't make, sometimes I laugh actually. I also, because when I joined an organization called Bureau of Police Research and Development many years ago. So I was straight from university and I was in the habit of writing very long paragraphs, like my paragraph would end after 10 sentences. This is typically the Indian style of writing. So I was in the government, I thank to that person who was the head of the institution, and I was working in a research division directly with him. He said, "You write so well." I said, "Thank you, sir." But this is not understandable to you. Now this is, then I couldn't understand that if I write well, it's not comprehensive. He said, can you write little simpler? Oh. Then I tried to write simple, and I had to be, too much of effort was required on my part to write simple. Because then I realized writing simple is a challenge. It's very difficult. Writing simple is very difficult. So now reporting the research require a particular language. I just finished a study on domestic violence, on crime against women. So I employed a very good researcher who was working on my project. He was a law trained person. So he also wrote in the same way. I remembered my experience. I said, "You have to write." I gave him a report that you write. You write small sentence. Your full stop should come quickly. If your full stop is coming quickly, then you are right. And you are not repeating what you have already said. Sometimes we write two sentences, but still we think we have not said with enough force. So again, we will write the same thing in a different length, with different set of words. Still you say some more force can be added. Again you will write in addition to that, or you will write a further in comma. But you are actually on the same. So that fellow who was my boss at that time, he said, "Whatever have you said, don't say it. You have only one opportunity to say." I'm telling you, I am into this magic actually. I like language since those days. So therefore, when I write my emails, so some student they say, "Sir, your emails are very short." So I'll write noted, full stop. Thank you, full stop. We'll meet, full stop. So this is how I write. Neha knows.
So you believe in WhatsApp language?
No, WhatsApp language is very different. My sentences are complete, and short, and they convey the meaning. Now, what I am seeing in research, you have to be miser with your words. No need to write more than what is required. But again, because it tries to hide more rather than express. Let us see. Now, this is the diagram that I intend to show you about the cycle of research. So, you see what we are doing in empirical research. We have kind of, you can start from any place. So, suppose you have a research issue. You have certain research question, you have derived a hypothesis, you intend to do an empirical study which require data analysis, leads to the conclusion. Now if you see the outer side, what is happening is theory evaluation is happening, construction and revision is happening, and all those kinds of things are happening which are very larger in the context. If you see this slide, it will tell you more clearly that research question, data, read and interrogate the data, revise research question, analyze the data, formulate a hypothesis, check the data. This cycle you have to get. Now, any problem that you take, you have to give a framework to the researcher who is working. Another framework which you can use is just a minute. This is the structure that I wish to show you. After all, an empirical study should look like, should follow a frame of this nature. Now, because you are in a workshop, now this frame should be before you. Now, whatever I am going to discuss with you, I will discuss within this frame. So, anything that you are doing or trying to do, it must be located in one of the components of this frame. Is it okay? Anybody having problem or having any question at this stage? This I can share with you, no problem. Now let us see, for instance, that suppose you have identified. So first problem is how to identify a research problem, which we have seen. So always your first step is, suppose you want to apply for a research project to UGC or a ICSSR. Your first thing is you have a topic in your mind. You want to do a proposal on that subject and you want to create a proposal which you can file. How many of you have filed research proposal to the ICSSR or UGC or any other agency? Have you ever created any signature? Kya purpose?
Filed in ICSSR regarding the study of impact of vocational training imparted in the prisons in the state of Haryana on the reformation and rehabilitation of prisoners.
Impact of vocational training
on rehabilitation and reformation of prisoners in the prisons in the state of Haryana specifically.
So, the main thing remains, what is the most challenging step in this frame? Can anybody tell me? What according to you, in your Samisha ji, aap bataye, what is the most challenging in all these components?
Statement of research problem.
Hello, let us do it. Literature review, how many of you know the literature review? You know, can you tell us what is literature review and how it is done?
Yes, sir. On that particular topic, we have to see what work has been done and we have to proceed with what they have not done. So, after highlighting the particular yes, to which in depth they have discussed their topic, and what they have not discussed, we are carrying forward that in our research.
Anybody else?
Basically, it can be divided into 2-3 parts, like case laws that have come before that issue, the legislative portion, the juristic writings or any journal articles, and studying from a date-wise analysis, we can do like for the past 5 years on that issue.
Have I sent you something today? Where is it? Something I have given to you today. Also last time. Now, this kind of structure always helps you. You know, lot of things. But literature review and something is not there. Anyway, I'll come back to literature review. But before that, can we have a research problem drafted? We need to look at the research problem, and then we have to write the objectives, and then we have to write the hypothesis, then we have to look at the data collection, then we have to analyze the data, then we have to write a report. Which component you want me to deal with in terms of difficulty? Statement of problem. Now,
Sir, I got a question. What is the difference?
okay. So we will discuss these 3, 4, 5 today, and we'll tell you how this is possible. So let us suppose take a research problem. You take a research problem. Please take a research problem in your mind. Note down your research problem on the paper. Please note down. I'll give you 2 minutes to just note down, and then you draft 5-6 lines. 5-6 lines. Just 5-6 lines in terms of the statement of your research problem. Your statement of research problem should display the major issues that you intend to do as research in your study. Just do that. Then I'll tell you how it can be done.